Welcome back to Woman Made Well. Today, we're going to talk about something that is pretty much universally accepted to be true, and that is that motherhood is hard. Of course, it's hard. Anything that's worth doing and doing well is hard. Anything that's going to change you into a better version of yourself is hard. So, when I meet with my patients, I often ask them what is one of their greatest accomplishments or something that they're proud of. Then I ask them, was this hard? And they answer, yeah, it's the hardest thing that I've ever done. Then I ask, was it natural? And they say, no, it was so uncomfortable and I didn't think I could do it. Then, did everything about it go perfectly? Then they almost all universally answer, no, I screwed up a lot of times. But then they tell me how proud they are that they didn't give up. I do this so that I can illustrate it's the same with motherhood, because it is. I believe that motherhood is pretty much the most difficult challenge a woman can take on. But just like any difficult challenge, the reward is equal and opposite to the difficulty. There is no greater reward than you can receive in motherhood. When I became a mother, I felt the same way. I couldn't believe that something that I'd waited for my whole life and been so excited to as the storybook ending to all the things that I'd accomplished was actually the hardest thing I'd ever done. I thought the fact that I'd moved around a ton as a kid, as the child of a father in the army, that always having to shift where I was, make new friends, adjust to new schools and new places, I thought that was hard. And then I thought all the marathons I'd finished was hard. And I thought getting into med school, that was hard. Surviving med school, residency, that was hard. But there was nothing like motherhood. And when I meet with my patients who've done way harder things than me, and they still struggle, that's when I really know that this is really hard. And you guys can see why I transitioned my whole career to focus on this. And it was as I was preparing to focus on this for my career that I really dove into cognitive behavioral therapy to see how on earth I could help these women. It was during this time when I was diving into learning about cognitive behavioral therapy that I found a theory called self-determination theory. This was a theory from 1965 by Richard Ryan and Edward Ducey. This theory has zero to do with motherhood and everything to do with how to enable people to live motivated, happy lives, allowing them to reach their potential. But when I read it, it was like lightning struck. It was like I was reading the description of why my life had all of a sudden, after the birth of my child, become so difficult and how all of a sudden I didn't seem to be able to handle things the way I used to. The crux of this theory is that there are three things that we need in our life in order to stay motivated, reach our potential, and live happy and successful lives, which is exactly what all of us want to do. And the idea is that it's like three legs of a stool. And if we have all three, the stool is strong and stable. If you have one that's missing, the stool falls over. If there's chinks in all of them, it's wobbly and unstable. So these are three things that I see as the three pillars of mental well-being. So what are these three things? The first one is autonomy. Autonomy is defined as control over your everyday life. The feeling that you can make decisions about what you do, where you go, who you spend your time with. I like to think about controlling when you wake up, when you go to bed, what you eat. Most of the studies about autonomy have been done in the workplace, and they all show that pretty much universally that the more autonomy an employer gives their employees, the more productive and happy they are with their jobs. We like, as human beings, to feel like what we do matters. We like to feel like we have control about what's happening in our lives. And the converse is true. When we do not feel in control, we aren't motivated to continue to work or perform well. And it can get worse from there. We can become depressed and anxious. So autonomy is crucial to our lives. The second pillar is competence. Competence means feeling like you're the master of the things you care about, meaning like you're confident in the things that you do and want to do or be good at in your life. So if you're a teacher, feeling competent as a teacher, feeling like your students understand the things that you're teaching them and that they value you, would be really important for you to feel competent in that area. A lot of us wear different hats, and so in with those different hats, we care about how we master those different hats and how we come off to other people and how we are able to affect their lives. And it's very important to us in order to be happy and feel motivated to continue those things that we feel like we're doing a good job. We feel good in those areas. I know for me that is couldn't be truer of my profession. If I didn't feel like I was providing good service to my patients, I don't even think I could continue to walk in the door to try anymore. The last pillar is relatedness, and this is defined as feeling understood and connected by the people that you value in your life. And that can be a partner, that can be parents, that can be a sister, that can be friends, coworkers. Any relationship that you value in your life, feeling connected and understood by them changes the way you feel about yourself. When we feel like we are really truly connected with somebody, that makes us feel good about ourselves. The studies in relatedness show that when you have that connection, you and your significant other have less fights. And the fights that you do have, you get over faster. The studies also show that there's typically less stomach aches, headaches, visits to the doctors when you have more relatedness or understanding in a relationship. And the most important one to me is that in a relationship with more understanding and connection, each partner is more motivated to serve and make sure the other partner is happy. And who wouldn't want that? But again, this relatedness extends beyond our significant others and just extends to other relationships in our life. In summary, the premise of self-determination theory says that when we feel like we are in control of our lives, when we are competent or confident in the things that we are doing, and when we have good relationships with the people we value and that we care about in our lives, we feel in control. We are confident, we are motivated, and we are happy, and it leads to success. So when I read this, I can still remember exactly where I was sitting and how I felt, oh my goodness, this is the explanation of why I felt so unglued postpartum. And I could see myself reliving it. I had lost control of my life. Instead of my alarm clock waking me up, a baby woke me up. Instead of my schedule setting the routine, it was her feeding schedule. Instead of me being able to go out with a friend, I was going to stay home and take care of this baby that couldn't survive without me. And as far as competence goes, instead of feeling confident taking care of patients, instead of feeling confident as a friend, as a sister, as a wife, I questioned everything I did as a mom. Was I feeding her enough? Was she growing enough? Should I take her to the doctor when she's crying this much? How am I ever going to succeed at getting her to burp? I felt completely incompetent. Every day there was a new thing that I didn't understand or didn't know what to do about. And then as far as relationships go, well, I lost a ton of them. I wasn't at my job anymore, so I wasn't with my work friends. I didn't have time for socializing outside of the home. I was too tired. I didn't even want to do my hair. And my husband, who I used to drive to work with every single day and spend every second with, would leave me and go to work. And then again, the relationship changed, which we'll talk about a ton, just based on learning how to co-parent and figure out that whole dynamic. It is no wonder that even if you don't get clinically depressed or clinically anxious postpartum, that the transition to motherhood is incredibly difficult. And this theory explained it all to me. When I talk to my patients about this theory, I just tell them to listen as I explain it, and then after I ask if any part of it resonated with them. And universally, it does. Most of the time, I say, is there one of those three pillars, one of those three things we talk about that you feel is affected in your life? And almost always they say all three. And I say, where do we start? And it's very difficult for them to choose one to start with. But it is crazy how motherhood claims your autonomy. almost universally, we don't know where to start because all three of the pillars are affected. Sometimes it's one more than the other, but most of the time it is all three. And that's because motherhood claims your autonomy. Motherhood annihilates your confidence, and motherhood changes, at best, and often eliminates a lot of your relationships. Motherhood does this to everybody to varying degrees and in varying ways to every mother. Sometimes the changes are less and they're manageable. Other times the changes and losses are devastating and lead to severe symptoms and mothers who find themselves completely depressed or anxious and not able to function. But if I've learned anything since I've dove into this niche, I've learned that understanding why we feel a certain way is the first step to overcoming that. Recognizing the loss of control and how it affects us is the first step to gaining back our autonomy. Realizing that the lack of confidence we have in a new undertaking and embracing that is the first step we have to take in order to recover our competence. And then acknowledging the change in our relationships and the new needs we have and the relationships that maybe we don't need anymore is the first step into healing and restoring those connections that we so badly need. Figuring out how to regain our autonomy, our confidence, and our connectedness is the key to not just surviving as a mom, but to finding our own unique way to thrive as a mom. In the coming episodes, I plan on talking and diving deep into each of these subjects. We'll have a whole episode on losing autonomy and a whole episode on how, as a mom, you can regain that. We'll do the same with competence, and we'll do the same with relationships, and we'll dive into the teeny little niches in all these areas that so many of my patients have struggled with and have taught me about. We'll talk to moms, we'll talk to specialists in these areas so you guys can get the information you need to be able to take back your control, gain your confidence, and engage in those relationships that are rewarding and that provide you with the things that you need in life. I guarantee that if you're already a mom, you agree with me that motherhood is hard. And if you aren't, I hope that I'm not depressing you by letting you in on the secret that motherhood is hard. But I promise you that if you dive in and you dig deep and you double down in your role as a mother, there will be no greater accomplishment that you are prouder of than who you become and the children or child that you raise. I can't wait to go on this journey with you guys. And my challenge that I leave you with today is to think about what has been hard about motherhood for you, and to think about those three topics, those three pillars of mental well-being, and which one resonates most with you. If it's all three, make sure to listen to all the episodes about all of them. If it's just one, tune into that one. But I would argue that even if you don't feel the sting of it, we'll definitely be able to dive into something that will make you, again, to be able to dive deeper into that pillar and come out stronger in that area of your life, which will benefit not just you, but your family. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.